O'Hare, next news 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by AM Woodland Outdoor Design, luxury outdoor living. amwoodland.com.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy, and today, 50th anniversary of Chappaquiddick. My, how time flies. You were, your early 20s when that occurred, 1969?
I was in my mother's belly.
Yeah, there you go.
This was that and the landing on the moon. She said I kicked her.
Did you see the movie to
I
update
did.
your recollection?
I loved the movie. Did you watch it?
Yeah, Jason Clarke was good as Ted Kennedy. I thought it was pretty good.
Excellent film.
And pretty damning.
Well,
for those who didn't live through it or whose recollections got a bit hazy perhaps over the years, pretty damning of not just what Ted Kennedy did, but all of the best and brightest around him.
I mean, and the fact, I didn't know that after it happened, he went to his motel room and he slept. Went to sleep like nothing's wrong here.
4 houses that he could have gone to seek help, he didn't go to. And then the really chilling thing and sick thing is the indication is that there was an opportunity to save Mary Jo Kopechne, not just because it was not that much water, because she was actually, the indication, she was searching for air pockets. So if he would have gone to get help immediately, or if he would have had a little bit more stick-to-itiveness of trying to get her out of the car rather than getting out onto the shore and thinking about his political career and what to do, then perhaps she would have survived and still be alive. Well, there was a gentleman who was there. Well, sort of. I don't want to implicate him. He didn't have anything to do with it. But he shot some chilling footage of the drive just 2 days after the accident / I would say manslaughter
involuntary manslaughter
occurred. He's Daniel Oliver. You probably read his stuff. He's executive editor of the former executive editor of National Review. He's currently the chairman of the Education and Research Institute, and he joins us now. Daniel Oliver, thanks so much for being with us. Appreciate it.
Happy to be here.
So the footage you shot that I just referenced has been featured in documentaries on the Chappaquiddick incident, and you driving 2 days after, it's really just chilling because of what happened. But what was the impetus to do that, and give us sort of your first-person account of the events of those days?
Well, it was about a week later, I think. I can't remember exactly.
Okay.
It's now a long time ago.
Yeah.
But it was very shortly after that. I just thought it would be, I had a new movie camera, and as a guy with a new movie camera, I thought it would be fun to take movies with it. So
Sure.
I'd driven down that road before, and Kennedy's explanation seemed implausible at the time, as it seems implausible now. So I thought it would be worthwhile to make a record of it and drive. My wife drove the car, and I held the camera and took the pictures. And they are apparently the only contemporary footage of the drive. A lot of people have taken pictures of it since then, but we took these pictures, 7, 8, 9 days after it happened. So they're essentially contemporary photographs, and they show exactly what the condition of the road was and how it would really be difficult to claim how you could make a mistake and go right instead of left if you were sober. And I think that's part of the key to understanding what happened.
Did you drive it during the day or at night like he had?
I drove it during the daytime because
Had to shoot
back
it.
in those days, my
Yeah.
camera wouldn't take pictures at night.
Yeah.
So we had to drive it there. But the point is, in order to go to the bridge, you have to leave the paved road and make a sharp turn onto a dirt road. Whereas to go to the ferry, you bear left on the paved road. So it's pretty hard to make that mistake if you have your wits about you. And as I say, I think that's part of the issue.
What was the scene like on the day that you did take that drive? Was there
Well,
still
it was-
investigations or?
Yes, it was 10, as I say, it was 7, 8, 9, 10 days later. But my wife's family had a house in Edgartown, and Edgartown, with a nice prosperous, obviously, but sleepy summer town for residents who've been going there for one or two generations. It was not a poor town, but it was a summer town that nobody went to. When the news people came, they came like locusts, and people date the change of Edgartown and the change of Martha's Vineyard from that time because all the journalists in the world came, and some of them decided to stay, and it changed the nature of Edgartown forever.
In a piece that you wrote about this in the Federalist, Federalist.com, you suggest that sort of this was one of the original cover-ups. That as much as we as much as we suggest that Watergate is when America lost its innocence, and that's the cover-up, and we had a gate to every scandal. Actually, a few years earlier, Chappaquiddick was the original.
Yes, it really was. And one of the bumper stickers, if you remember, back when Watergate happened, was bumper sticker said, "Nobody died at Watergate." So people remembered, at that point, people still remembered Chappaquiddick. No, Chappaquiddick was obviously a cover-up. The press, not so much the press actually, but the government people in Massachusetts obviously covered it up. And some of the press did, but the Boston Globe, to its credit, did a long piece on it. I don't know, maybe it was a year later, I can't remember anymore. And they had something like 29 statements by Senator Kennedy that just didn't make any sense. So I think that back when even liberal journalists were honest, they understood that Teddy Kennedy had, I don't know, pulled the wool over their eyes, maybe not, but certainly pulled the wool over the public's eyes.
And how did he get out of it? I mean, I just refresh our memory. What did he?
Well, the inquest was a fraud. They whipped the body off the island and sent it back to his family, so there was no autopsy. So they just basically and when they had a grand jury hearing, they didn't tell the jurors they could ask questions. So they basically spoiled the process by which we normally get to the truth, and by spoiling that process, we didn't get to the truth. And so there he was, innocent, and he went on. It was a scandal, and as I say, I think it really was the first cover-up of modern times.
And were you thinking about that? I mean, thinking about Nixon coming back from his defeat in '60 to win in '68. How about Kennedy coming back from that to perhaps almost become the president of the United States if he could have answered a simple question why he was running? Almost become the president of the United States a decade later.
Well, yes, Nixon's crime was not as great as we said. Nobody
Right,
died
of
at
course.
Watergate.
Yeah.
My sense is that Kennedy was drunk. That's why he didn't stop in at the houses to report the accident. And in fact, when he got back to Edgartown, didn't report into the police. And that will surely, as far as we understand, probably resulted in Mary Jo Kopechne's death. But it seems to me that, and Kennedy was like the Kennedy. They were basically sleazeballs, I think. But the real villains of the piece, I think, are the people of Massachusetts, because basically everybody knew what happened, or knew that whatever Kennedy said wasn't exactly what happened, and yet the people of Massachusetts sent him back to the Senate six times, I think it was.
Yeah.
And I think that's, in a way, the real scandal.
Yeah, I agree with that. I wanted to ask you something else, too, unrelated to Chappaquiddick, but related to your post as chairman of the Education and Research Institute. We were just talking a little bit with Steve Moore, and this is obviously a running conversation about incubators of totalitarianism. I'm talking about K through 12, or really K through college school systems. We're talking about this in the context of the four congresswomen that have seen their profile raised recently, and the how conservative, since you have sort of more of a view on this than certainly I do, how conservative just lost control of the quality of instruction, K through college, and the manuals that were being used to instruct.
I think we lost that a long time ago, and we lost it when the lefties entered the academy, entered the colleges. So first they take over the colleges, and then all their teachers, all their students, or some of their students, go on to become high school teachers and writers of high school textbooks. So first they took over the universities, and that really happened a long time ago. And then since then, they've been writing textbooks. Some of the textbooks, the bad textbooks, of course, were written years and years ago, but there's been a steady stream of left-wing textbooks for decades now. So it happened a long time ago, and I'm really not quite sure how to get it back. Homeschooling is certainly one way, but not everybody can homeschool. But there are indications that people understand that people are writing good textbooks. Bill McClay just wrote a good textbook, American history textbook, the title of which will come to me in a minute. So there are subtle changes, but by and large, the lefties own the educational establishment from top to bottom.
Well, right, and Howard Zinn's People's History
Right.
I mean, that's child's play compared to what's part of the curriculum these days at every level, and I mean, I just think about this too. I've been thinking about your history with National Review. Go back to Bill Buckley and God and Man at Yale, and
Yes.
today neither God nor man are welcome at Yale.
No, I know. And Bill really nailed it way back in 50. When did he write that? 53, I think. He, in a way, he saw it coming. He said, "Look, guys, here's what's happening in the academy, and if you want something different, you better do something." And they didn't.
He is Daniel Oliver, former general counsel at the Department of Education.